Welcome everybody. Before I get into any of the buffs and changes here for Clefable, I want to clarify that this is not intended for competitive play. This is a ROM hack. It's all balanced for in-game use, and the overall power levels are much higher. So having like bulky shit like this is nothing out of the ordinary at all. In fact, this is really not that bulky. Especially it's pretty tanky, but like it's pretty. It's not out like crazy. Oh my god, this is the bulkiest thing on the planet. Magic Guard is also very situational in-game. Entry hazards are not a factor. Only a few boss fights will ever even use them. Plumeria with T-Spikes, Guzma with webs, and a couple other random fights, but even then Magic Guard doesn't affect webs. So like rocks is my point. Stealth rocks not gonna appear on trainers. Maybe like one trainer for like a gimmick, but it's not a reliable way for the AI to, because they don't know how to pressure you to switch out in the way that it would like make it's not 6v6 competitive singles. You're playing against AI. It's completely different things. You have to give them completely different move sets and other ways that they actually know how to use, other strategies that they actually know how to use. So it's out of the way. That's the first thing. Second thing, the HP decrease. It's not a nerf. I just am kind of pedantic about HP in this hack. I try to base it more on size. 80 is pretty generous. Clefable's tiny. It's like 4 foot. It's a little fairy. 80 is very generous. Honestly, if I was being more pedantic, it would be like 70 or 65 even. It is pretty fat though. It's like pretty chunky and wide. And it's also like a weird little space fairy. So I figured let it keep the base 80 for like soul reasons. Like for example, like Amoongus, I dropped it to like 99 because he's actually like he's similar size as Clefable, but and then in all those cases where I dropped the HP, the bulk is higher. So overall, Clefable, I believe, is probably slightly bulkier. Physically, I'm not positive. It might be a little bit less bulky physically, but especially it's definitely bulkier because of the big Spadef boost, which fits given that it's like this moon fairy. So yeah, that's the first two things I wanted to cover. With that being said, though, if you are a new viewer here, this is attracting new people. Welcome. Hello. Make sure you check out that Google Sheet in the description. There are 600 plus moves buffed, changed, and reworked in this hack. Those are really important to understand how the Pokemon function now, so please do give those a look, because there are tons of new moves on screen that you could probably see you don't know what they do, and even the ones that you think you know what they do, you probably don't, because they're changed. So do give those a look. With that being said, Clefable, Clefairy, really good buffs. Overall, like kind of boring and underwhelming, like abilities, but that's just the nature of like I didn't want to change them because they fit Clefable really well, and there's also a bunch of other pure fairy types I have to balance around. But Magic Guard in game is not the greatest ability of all time. It's mostly just useful for Life Orb, and which isn't bad. It's useful for Life Orb, and it's useful for recoil moves. So on the physical side, you do have Play Rough, BITM, and Wild Charge and Takedown, which are all recoil moves that deal 20% recoil. So they'll deal 0% recoil with Magic Guard as like a meme physical set, because you do get you do have a usable physical attack stat, and you have stuff like Belly Drum and Priority in the form of Fairy Blow and all that other fun stuff. Still a bit of a meme, but it's definitely worth investing in for some fights, especially with bulk up. Which does have 3 PP, which is better than Nasty Plot's singular PP, which you're only really using on faster guys or slower guys with like setup like priority moves like Pixie Dust. Like Life Orb Pixie Dust coming off a 115 special attack is pretty good, so it's not like that's bad or anything. It has really good utility moves. Unaware is a great ability for especially totem fights. You do have priority heart swap, which will reverse or swap your stat changes, and that's really good on all types of Pokemon that get that now. So for totems, you can steal their boosts and switch in on them as well to take like reduced damage. It's also just good for any type of setup or boosting Pokemon. The AI can use boosting moves a lot easier now because they have decreased PP, so they won't spam them as much. For example, if they run Swords Dance, they click it once and it's done. So setup moves will be a little bit more common on the AI, but not like every boss fight. Just every once in a while, maybe I'll throw it on there, spice it up a little bit. But I'd still rather just give them like switch moves and covers moves and stuff. Those are the best. That's the best way that the AI knows how to abuse things and pressure the player. But yeah, Unaware is still a really useful ability for a lot of other boss fights as well. It's just a solid thing to have. And then Magic Guard is, like I said, just useful for recoil moves and Life Orb. Like every once in a while, it's nice. Like, yeah, you can switch it on Gunk Shot and not have to worry about the 50% poison or anything like that. But it's who the hell cares? Like, it's not a big deal in game, especially because if you are worried about a poison for a specific boss fight, you can always just run a berry if that's like detrimental to your strategy for some reason. And I don't even see why it would be. It's not a bad ability. It's just like there's so many better ones in this hack, especially on a slower guy like this. You can't even get off like the strong, fast priority recoil moves. Speaking of, you do have Eternal Beam, which makes Magic Guard a lot less underwhelming late game. Eternal Beam is really cool. That is a 125 base power special fairy type recoil move, so you take 0% recoil and you get the Life Orb boost off 115 special attack. Eternal Beam is very, very powerful coming off of Clefable. Very cool move. Definitely worth using. obviously. Great coverage, as Clefable's always had. Great utility, as Clefable's always had. Great bulk, as Clefable's always had. Or actually, its bulk was kind of mediocre, but now it's much better. And for this hex standard, just nothing too crazy at all. Just kind of a solid, bulky attacker with good utility moves. It does get good utility such as Volt Switch and Charm and Befriend and Moonlight and Wish and negative priority Baton Pass, which basically functions like teleport, which is pretty cool for, like Wish passing for certain boss fights if you need to heal up your ally who doesn't have a heal move. All Pokemon have heal moves, but like if you deleted it or something, you can use that to heal up a Pokemon. Yawn, Tickle, Baby Doll Eyes, Play Nice, it's Encore. It's got a lot of great utility moves that it can choose between. But other than that, it's very simple, straightforward buffs and changes. Z Spotlight will give you +1 to all your stats, which is pretty cool on a bulky guy like this. Stored Power only has 3 BP, but it gives you +1 special attack, so that's really strong. Bit gimmicky, but it's still really strong. Cosmic Power, good, solid option for them. They do not resist Bug anymore, so Pure Fairy is a little bit less good defensively because of that. It's a little bit of a nerf, also just a buff for Bug types. So yeah, being neutral to Bug is not bad or anything, but they do miss having that bug resistance. So yeah, a lot less oppressive, the fairy type. There's also an ability called Sinister that makes Pokemon immune to fairy, besides Pixelate. Not that fairy was oppressive offensively, like Moonblast was a really good move, but now there's all types of moves that are just as good as that, so yeah, again, give those move changes on the move sheet a look. Otherwise, though, you have like reliable sleep move, 85% accurate Dreamy Kiss, always lasts for 2 turns. The healing was really good. Honestly, I would just use this guy as like a good utility guy that can also attack. It's a little bit boring. Probably one of the bottom 10% of Pokemon I would want in my hardcore Nuzlocke, just because I don't really like Clefable anyways, and the buffs are very boring. Like, it's not anything interesting. It's good. Magic Guard, Eternal Beam is fun, and you have good Volt Switch and other utility moves and coverage. It's just kind of like I just don't want to use it. I would rather have other fairy types. I don't know. Maybe it's just my bias coming. I just don't really like its design too much. It's just kind of whatever to me. And also, I don't really know what abilities to change it into anyways. That would be good and fitting. I think these abilities are fine for it. I think Clefable had his time to shine anyways. Not that it's bad. It's a good Pokemon. Strong, bulky, good abilities, good move pool, great move pool. Yeah, very simple. Clefairy, very good up until level 32. You will evolve in time for Plumeria possibly, and then also Olivia is the main thing. You'll evolve in time for that. Clefairy, good stats up until then. It's pretty damn tanky, pretty strong, and that will evolve in time for Hala. Actually, in time for probably after Totem Gumshoos, so most likely around the time you get to the Howl fight, the first Howl fight versus Dulce fight. That's when you'll be level 16. So, yeah. Good stuff overall. Very fun Pokemon. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed it. A couple other things I could touch on, like really cool little mini strategies you can do or gimmicks. Like you could see Spotlight Baton Pass, for example, into your ally because you're bulky. Baton Pass being negative priority isn't a big deal. And you can Wish as well. You have Z-Hop Baton Pass. Z-Hop will give you +3 attack. So you can Baton Pass that into an ally in time for Olivia as well, which is pretty fun. Yeah, Radiant Edge, Fairy type Size Shock, Belly Drum, a little bit of a meme option with Fairy Blow, which is I would only ever use that. I would never keep Fairy Blow on my Cleffa if I got an early game. I would just have it in the PC and then keep Fairy Blow if I had Belly Drum. If I was in the mid-30s and I added it to my team, then yeah, I would probably keep Fairy Blow with Belly Drum. If I wanted to use that, it's still kind of a meme, but yeah. Cosmic Chaos, that's good for totems, especially that halves the HP. It works like Nature's Madness, so it halves the HP, but it's basically Super Fang, but it's priority and only has 1 PP, and it always flinches. So it's a really good utility option, but it's a bit situational, especially because it's not reteachable. So it's just kind of you might run it for a few levels and delete it, probably. That's what I would do. Run it for a totem, for example, because you do get it in time for Totem Mimikyu. So if you need that for Totem Mimikyu, you also get Heart Swap, hopefully, in time for that as well, though. So, pick whichever you want. It's really about it though. Lunar Dance, that's pretty great. Enchantment, also great. Enchantment works like Geomancy, but it only gives +1 speed, while Lunar Dance essentially works like Quiver Dance used to work. Quiver Dance only gives special attack and speed now, but it used to give Spadef. That's what Lunar Dance does now. Gives Spadef special attack and speed. With your base 60 speed, it's not the greatest, but at +2, which is all the PP that Lunar Dance has, you can actually outspeed a good amount of things. So good option. You have the bulk to set up as well. So you could try some cheesy little Lunar Dance set with Eternal Beam, Magic Guard, and just go to town with your really high base power, drawback free stab move alongside your great coverage that you can just swap on depending on the boss fight. So yeah, that's really good for late game. Clefable will probably be more fun to use later on or earlier. I don't know. It's whatever. I don't really care about Clefable. I don't know what else to say. So yeah, thanks for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully my lack of enthusiasm didn't dampen the buffs because they are still good buffs overall. So yeah, peace everyone.